last year. He was the #2 finishing junior, so he's the perfect. There are a couple of interesting athletes in this, though. Jimmy was chosen from Union Catholic, a 155, 800 man, 409 miler. He has a hamstring injury, so it's a little bit uncertain how well he will perform, but he is an excellent athlete, as is Stephen Hergenrother, the senior from Ridgefield, Connecticut. He won the New England Championships.
So those are some of the individuals to keep an eye on. There are all the individuals, all the teams that we shot across the line for you with our Gator coverage. If you're just joining us here in Wappingers Falls for the purposes of following the race here out on the course, a reminder that some parts of this course, there are some signal issues because of the location of this course. So we'll do our best to keep you updated on positions of different athletes where we can. At the halfway mark, there is a timing apron, which will give us all the positions of all the athletes as well as the unofficial team scores. But look at that group. 8 states represented here on this beautiful holiday weekend Saturday in Wappingers Falls, New York, and our final boys championship regional race of the 2023 season about to unfold.
38 degrees on the course, Paul, as they get set to go. What a year it's been for New Jersey. They have the #3 and #10 ranked teams in the country. Westfield, a really good team, in addition to that brothers team.
And the gun is fired. The racing is underway in the state of New York, where 8 states have descended on this Bowdoin Park course for Nike Cross Regionals. This is the Northeast Boys Championship, 5,000 meters.
This is a really interesting race from an individual perspective. Grievous should more or less run away with it, but behind him, that's where the really interesting action is going to take place. Same thing on the team side. That brothers team, where I said that Brady Barber, their 6-man, finished 20th in a very strong New Jersey meet of champions. Every one of their top 6, Paul, either a junior or senior. So very experienced team favorite and a very experienced individual favorite in Grievous.
Well, Nolan McGinn won the Boys New York Championship race on this course just about an hour ago by 22.5 seconds. In the girls' championship race, Emily Bush won by 15.5 seconds. So let's see what happens here in this Boys Northeast Championship race. On the left side of your screen, as again, we lose some of the signal coverage as they get into the wooded areas for the first time. But those are the lists of individuals that make up the teams here. Again, the top 2 teams will automatically advance. Teams finishing 3rd and 4th are eligible to advance as at-large teams. New Jersey has sent the most teams out of this regional to NXN. 18 times there have been teams from New Jersey. Pennsylvania, the next best, having sent 7 teams over the years. Connecticut 5, Rhode Island 4, and Massachusetts has sent teams 3 times.
And New Jersey is a super strong state, and I think this brothers track team could end up winning NXN this year. I would not put it past them whatsoever. Their leading runner, Paul, Joe Barrett, he's a junior. In 2021, he was the #1 freshman in this race, finishing 21st overall. Last year, he finished 11th, and that was the #1 sophomore. And so I wonder if this year he will become the #1 junior, if not the #1 finisher in the race entirely. And you can see Grievous up there in that lead pack, right there in second. I think that's him.
Cycle through these last few teams as the racers come up and over that area near the playground, but a good, healthy dose of runners there behind the leaders. And, you know, as we saw with Emily Bush in that just completed New York region on the girls' side, sometimes it's where those downhills come into play where athletes take advantage and try to break away from the rest of the field.
To your point, Grievous made a big move just on that very first downhill. And again, he's a smaller guy, a little bit more compact. That favors him on those downhills. And of course, he's a very, very experienced runner. And as we now see him kind of in the lead here, looks comfortable. This guy, Paul, he has a really great range from 158 in the 800 to 1404 in the 5000. He won the Nike Outdoor Nationals last year in the 5000. By the way, at Phillips Exeter, which is one of the finest private schools in the country, he has his own radio show. He likes to play 90s music, and he is inspired by his grandfather, and that inspiration may indeed take him to his first ever NXR title.
A little over 4 minutes into the racing here at the Northeast Division. And just as we've seen it unfold here on this same course with those New York regionals, a bit of a breakaway here in the front, so, though I would say, Tom, this group of boys a bit closer to each other than we've seen in some of these previous races.
Yeah, absolutely. And while Grievous is kind of controlling the race from the front, this is by no means kind of a situation where it's a runaway.
5 minutes elapsed on the clock. Grievous trying to keep the lead here as they'll make another climb. Again, we'll have at the 2.5K mark the opportunity to see the order that we have behind Grievous, and you see both the runners here at the front going to different sides of the course, looking for safe spots to run here. This is kind of an access road kind of setup before they go back into sort of the trail areas, Tom.
Yeah, and there are some rocks out there. It's not as sloppy as some other parts of the course, and it's wider than some of the parts of the course which go through the woods. I'm anticipating about a 7:45 at that 2.5K split. And of course, everybody's been running negative splits due to the fact that most of the uphill climbs are in the first half of the race. Now, this part of the course, one of the more narrow parts, and they have to navigate through those thick roots from some of these gorgeous trees that line the course. Grievous certainly has company, and it appears that these two have separated themselves a bit.
And Tom, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think that might be Joe Barrett of Brothers Track Club out of Lincroft, New Jersey, the junior who was the New Jersey Meet of Champions champ and 11th here last year. But that to be confirmed here shortly. 6.5 minutes into this race, 2.5K is where we're going to get an official order in the racing here. But as they make their way up the climb here, we'll also have one of our static cameras here in view in a moment, maybe a little bit better chance to catch those bib numbers as they come up and through. Now 7 minutes on the mark. So we go to that static camera here. Let's see if we can identify the second runner with Grievous.
Well, and if it is Barrett, which it very well could be, he's undefeated in 5 cross-country races this fall, Paul. And he's one of those big game hunters. As I mentioned, he was the #1 freshman in 21, the #1 sophomore in 22, and he also won the very prestigious Manhattan College cross-country invitational earlier this fall. Rarely has a bad race, and it really helps Brothers that they have such a top-flight competitor, a guy that could go in the top 10, 15 nationally, to help what could be the team that wins it all next week in Portland.
We'll pick up the leaders here in a moment. Just a quick view of that sea of humanity now working its way up this climb. And the 2K split has now arrived, and it is indeed Joe Barrett in a battle of two runners who are undefeated this season on the cross-country trails in the Northeast. Grievous 2.1 seconds ahead. Then Falkowski is back there in third. So Brothers Track Club second and third. Wishusen is in fourth. Connor Clifford of the Brothers Track Club in five. And Hergenrother of Ridgefield just ahead of Luke Pash of Ridgewood Cross Country in seventh.
Well, a couple things that I want to point out here. Falkowski, for Brothers, he was their fourth runner at the New Jersey Meet of Champions. He's currently in third in the race. Connor Clifford in fifth. He was their second runner at the New Jersey Meet of Champions, but he was fifth in New Jersey, now fifth here. Hergenrother, I love this guy. He was 14th in the NXR in 2021. He was the #1 sophomore. Paul, though, he won the 2023 Fast Times at Ridgefield High School 3200. And I don't know if he character of Spicoli in winning that race, but Hergenrother really has wheels on him. And Jimmy Wishusen, the 155 half-miler, obviously is surmounting his aggravated hamstring injury and looks like he's well-positioned to get a potential individual berth.
So 9.5 minutes elapsed here in the boys championship race in the Northeast, the last boys championship race of these regions. See the athletes looking for just safe room to run on this deteriorating course at Bowdoin Park in Wappingers Falls, New York. Trying to stay on the edges for many of them is the smartest move at this point in the course, but the arms are definitely flailing here as they come through in this stage. You see the athletic course tracker bringing them up to about the 2-mile mark where the leaders are now going to be racing, and then come back into sort of the open field view of this part of the race course that hugs alongside the Hudson River. And Grievous is now in seemingly control. No sign of Joe Barrett here as we reach 10.5 minutes elapsed.
Yeah, he's all alone. I want to point out, though, the Brothers Track Club in Westfield, who we identified as the two teams that were likely to advance, Brothers with a really low score, 41, Westfield 76 at 2.5K. Nobody even close. Ridgefield in third at 169. But the compact stride that Grievous has is so suited to these downhills, and he's got good court vision because he's able to find a line that works for him that's out of that muck and mire. And this shot gives you a great view of how far he has extended what was once a 2-second lead at 2,500 meters, which shortly thereafter has become at least 3 times that. He's going to Stanford next year, Paul. This gentleman, I'll tell you, J.J. Clark has really loaded up in the last couple of years. Leo Young, Lex Young. Now he's got Grievous. He had Zane Bergen from that Niwot team. Really doing, and Ricardo Santos, of course, does a great job as head coach of the Stanford cross-country team.
Well, I just hope that KZSU, which is Stanford's FM 90.1, has a spot for him on their rotation to bring his radio show out west, Tom. He's showing all sorts of success as a runner, but also talented away. In fact, he's only run twice this year and won both of those races, and now in dominant fashion closing in on a Nike Cross Regional win this year.
Indeed, and I think the organizers at NXN better prepare their 90s mixtape for this young man to play at the finish line, because he is also going to be a tough out for our favorite, Danny Simmons. You see Grievous kind of settling himself with those arms. There are these just really tough parts of the course, and it is so sloppy, and he's using his arms to great effect to kind of make sure that he doesn't slip. Very bright young man, very personable young man.
So that's Jimmy Wishausen, who's now moved up into second. He's about 12 seconds back of Grievous, and then Joe Barrett trying to stay in the mix here with a good battle behind him. Now, a lot of those athletes from the same team, which is Brothers Track Club, and all of those team members, should Brothers make it to NXN, would be removed from the individual results. So 5 runners available for those individual invitations for NXN. So a lot to run for there behind the leader. Wishausen has made a good move here in the last mile or so of the race, the Union County champion from Westfield, New Jersey, but still more worried about what's behind him than what's ahead of him, as Grievous still out there in the lead.
Yeah, and with Shoes and Paul, this is a 155, 409, 856 man. He was third in the 2022 USATF under 23K. Remember, that was essentially after his sophomore year. He has not run in over a month with Schusen because of this hamstring injury, but boy, oh boy, did he come out to play today. Really impressive performance by him.
So just a little bit more of the course to traverse here before he gets himself to the finish line. There's a look live at our finish line camera, waiting to pick up Grievous in the final stretches of his race. Back to those pictures in the woods here as we try to regain contact with our lead gator. Grievous now just those last few hills to climb before he makes the turn for home.
Never has this guy looked at all like he's been in any kind of distress for this entire race. So focused, and the turnover that he has, those very quick staccato strides, just perfect for a course like this, Paul, like it's made to order.
And now into the finish chute. He's 3 for 3 on the year, undefeated in cross country in 2023, and now heading to Nike Cross Nationals as the Nike Cross Regionals Northeast champion. Byron Grievous is our winner.
And that looks like a guy that knows he has more in the tank and knows that, and if I'm Daniel Simmons, I've got a bullseye on my back. This guy looked terrific. And that time, Paul, was absolutely outstanding considering course conditions. 15:32.8 is with shoes and finishes. That's a really fast time, Paul, considering these conditions. Really fast.
As we wait for the official results here comes Joe Barrett, who made a gutsy effort to try to stay with Grievous early on, but he fades in the final going, still hoping to join his teammates at Nike Cross Nationals as part of Brothers, but Grievous the winner in 15:32.8, and now here comes the rest of the field and the race for those team titles. Grievous celebrating there in the lower part of your picture. Wishausen officially now second, Hergenrother in third, Avery Keith winds up finishing in fourth, just ahead of Luke Pash, then Connor Clifford, Joe Barrett, Brendan McMahon, Jack Felkowski, and Matthew Giardina. That is your top 10 here at Nike Cross Regionals Northeast.
And Brothers goes 6, 7, and 9 for their first 3 runners. Brothers did lose a little bit in that last half of race. As you pointed out, Barrett really went out strong. He dropped 5 places. Felkowski dropped 6, another guy that went out really strong. And Clifford dropped 1. But Brothers should still capture the team title. Very aggressive early running that may have backfired a little bit on Brothers. Their 4th runner, Alex Mastroli, finishes 22nd. And then Wyatt Felkowski, 29th. Meanwhile, Westfield, which ran out of their gourds, Avery Keith finished 4th. No surprise there whatsoever, but the guys behind him really did a number. Tej Maeda finished 19th, picked off 8 runners in the last half of the race. James Gilday finishes 20th. Ryan Daly, 23. They really packed him in solid. And Alexander Valencia, 28th. Brothers will still probably win this, Paul, but Westfield did a nice job picking off runners in the last half of the race.
And those team scores are dynamic, so we wait to have them official here in a moment. Very close between Brothers Track Club and Westfield. Ridgefield there on the outside looking in at the third position. Brookline has now, for the moment, moved up into fourth place overall ahead of Phillips Exeter. Again, this dynamic because they're removing the individual runners from the placings and then rescoring this meet in real time.
This was an upperclassman laden leaderboard this time out. The first 13 runners were all juniors or seniors, so experience really mattered on the course today on the boys' side.
And congratulations to every runner here getting to the finish line, as for many the end of their championship season. But the first man across the line, our 2023 champion, Byron Grievous, with Justin Knight.
Hey everybody, we're back with NXR Northeast champion, Byron Grievous. You looked phenomenal out there coming to the finish line. How do you feel?
Thank you so much. I mean, there's no harder NXR course than Bowdoin Park. So, I mean, if any precursor for NXN, it's this course, showing just, no matter the time, I know it's like a slower time compared to a lot of the other regions, but I mean, when we go out to Portland, I mean, we're gonna show our stuff. Just having to grind up those hills, coming down and blasting the last K, it's a great precursor.
There you go, I'd like to hear it. Knowing that it's a hilly course and it is one of the hardest courses, what was the game plan for you and maybe even your team heading into it?
Yeah, so we were out here last year, and it's a fast start. I mean, like, even knowing the hills that you have going up to a mile and a half, guys go out so hard. And especially today, it was a little muddy in some sections, so I knew I needed to get out of sort of the crowd so I could, like, keep my stride and not get tripped up. And it was sort of economizing going up the hill, and then you hit that, like, you go over the timestamp, and you go. And just knowing that you're gonna recover, no matter how fast you're going down those hills, even though my legs were burning, I just bombed it as hard as I could.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job of executing it. Well, last question I'm gonna ask you, what are you looking forward to most heading into NXN?
Ooh, I don't know, last year, the experience is amazing. I mean, going and seeing the Nike World headquarters is absolutely phenomenal. Getting to meet some of the Nike pros and just hanging out with, like, all the top XC runners in the country, it's a really cool meet.
That's amazing. I'm going to be out there at NXN. I'll see you there. All the best. Congratulations again on a phenomenal race.
Thank you.
Back to you, Paul.
Thanks very much, Justin, as we see some of the final runners get to the finish line. Tom, you know, it does make worth mention that the fact that you have a second opportunity to back to NXN, you're sort of in the headlights for that first trip because it's so overwhelming. The experience is so amazing that maybe you just kind of miss the fact that there's also a championship race with everyone else who's the best in their region coming to race against you, and maybe Byron has that experience and now can use it to his advantage.
Amen. And remember, Danny Simmons was the #1 junior. Byron Grievous was the #2 junior, returning from last year's NXN. They're both going to be towing this line a week from today, and that's going to be a special race, especially strategically. Grievous versus Simmons. You kind of wonder how that's going to play out. Simmons was a little cagey last week, didn't go hard from the start, and I have a feeling we'll see some of that similar type of strategy next week in Portland. But boy, Grievous looked great today, and very articulate young man. Should be a dynamite NXN, an absolutely dynamite NXN next week.
So we look forward to welcoming all those athletes and teams to Portland and the Glendevere Golf Course next weekend. A reminder, our live coverage here on runnerspace.com a week from today. Should be another phenomenal year of championship racing in Portland. Just getting our final members of the winning team from the Brothers Track Club in position with Justin. We'll hear from them in a moment, and then we'll turn our attention to the final race coming up in about 12 minutes from now with the girls' championship race in the Northeast. Should be a good one as well, as that'll put a wrap on the regional coverage for NXR in 2023. We've got our team in place, Brothers Track Club, the winners on the boys' Northeast side, and let's check in with them and Justin Knight.
And I'm here with the Northeast NXR champions, Christian Brothers Academy. You know, I've heard a lot about you guys. How did the race go?
I mean, not as we expected with Joe, our obvious one man all season, coming down a little sick, but all of us stepped up, including Clifford the most, and we got the dub, which is what we wanted.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna come over to this side. Kind of knowing that you're missing your number one guy, what was the game plan going in? Like, what did you guys have to change up? How did you guys execute?
We kind of just, kept our heads down, just focused on the guys in front of us. Don't really worry about, what people are feeling because, no one's ever feeling 100% on game day. So we're always just looking, past people, try and get the lowest score we possibly can, and, we did that today.
Awesome. And the last question I'm going to ask you guys is, what are you looking forward to most at NXM? We're going to start with you.
The race.
The race? All right, good answer.
Yeah, definitely the race and, getting back there after last year to, improve.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're all excited for the race and to meet some cool people.
Yeah, as he said, we're excited for the race.
I'd definitely say the race. I mean, it's going to be fun.
It's got to be the dance after.
Yeah, the race. Most excited for the race.
That's awesome. Well, CBA, they don't play around. They have a very noteworthy name. It's a pleasure. I'll be out there at NXN with you guys out there. I hope you guys have a great run out there, and we'll see you later. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks very much, Justin. I like the fact that the majority of those runners are looking forward to the race, though the dance is definitely something to look forward to as well. And today, Byron Grevious is our winner. Brothers Track Club wins the team race. Back with the Northeast Girls Championship race when we return.
Running for the Indigenous people